everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And we have a little surprise today. We're going to do another Richard Thomas movie. We were so disappointed by that last one that we watched that we decided we'd watch another one that Marco had already watched last year sometime and was familiar with, and he knew it was a lot better movie. So the movie is called Down, Out, and Dangerous, and it came out in 1995. And
what's your only note on your whole paper is Richard Thomas is homeless.
Well, he just seems to be a master of any kind of role that is given to him, and this one, he plays a homeless guy, has really scraggly long hair, dirty clothes, and he's out on the street begging for money so he can go buy himself something to eat. And that's how it starts. And then it starts to get layers of complication.
Complicated.
Worse and worse and worse, and it just piles on. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Until almost the very end. I mean,
like
really.
The last 3 minutes.
Yeah, and it was like a miracle and luck that everything changed. So, but I'm talking about a whole movie full of layers. I mean, it's like somebody just piled blankets on top of you and they wouldn't stop. And you thought you never were going to get out, or you were in a hole and you were having it cave in around you and the dirt was just coming and coming and coming. And you thought, oh my God, this is never going to end. I'm never going to be saved.
You mean like when they're in the garbage room in Star Wars? Return of the Jedi? Remember that? Where they're stuck in the garbage and the walls are closing in on them?
Yeah, I was trying to remember.
But that makes it sound like a bad movie.
Well, and the thing is, I'm not talking about something against Richard Thomas. I'm talking about the pain he was inflicting on others, well, especially one person. And so that's the confusion or misdirection that I'm giving you. No, I'm not talking about him suffering. I'm talking about how he's making others suffer. And not just suffer, killing them. So he actually is a killer in this movie.
Really?
A cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, this is the most evil character he's played.
Yes, it is.
For sure.
Even though he did the stalking.
Well, he wasn't very evil in that movie until the end.
Right, and that was, but this one was, he was evil all along. He was like a wolf in sheep's clothing, as somebody might say. So,
so let's talk about the movie. So this movie, last year I watched it. I think I might have even included it on my worst dishonorable mentions of last year. But honestly, I think that it was the problem of what I was eating while watching it. Because while I watched it, I ate because I liked it at first, and then I went out to get lunch. And we wanted to try something new from McDonald's, and it was a caramel brownie sundae. And I ate it while watching the rest of the movie, and guess what? I hated the rest of the movie. And
because you hated the sundae.
And I think that's what I figured out by watching it this time. And so I really hated it. Like, I hated, but it was the sundae's fault, because the sundae, you had this ice cream, and honestly, the brownie parts were good, the little brownie bites, but then you had this caramel, and it was almost full of caramel. It was so overpowering and overly sugary, it was disgusting, and I hated it, and it made me hate the movie. So I kind of like... It's good to finally watch it again, actually, because now I realize, it's actually an okay movie. Like, it's not a bad movie at all.
Oh, no, not at all. I enjoyed it. I just was, literally, things don't get rectified or solved or whatever you want to call it until almost the very end. And so I'm thinking, my God, what's going to happen? And because it doesn't look good. It really looked bad, and it was almost over. I'm thinking, like, this isn't going to get fixed. It's really going to end up like this? I can't believe that.
I like the movie overall, but I will say that it was very paper thin. Safi was talking about how the character of Richard Thomas was piling on to the main character. She wasn't talking about how the movie had layers and layers of meaning or anything. Because let's be honest, Safi.
No, not at all. I'm talking about the punishment he was inflicting on this guy.
But this movie, it was very basic. It was very one-dimensional. There were moments where characters would just, they're just saying all these things, saying all these lines, and you can tell they really don't mean them because they're just TV actors. And, like, with the end where the detective is like, oh, yeah, everything's squared away. You should be fine. All the movie, it's all over because it's the end now and it's an hour and 30 minutes. It's all over. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, get your yard cleaned up.
And go find a gardener.
And he was actually, I thought, the way he was during the movie, he was kind of like a Columbo. If you know what I mean, he would notice these things that maybe others wouldn't notice, these clues about what really happened, and he would talk nicely to this guy, and making him kind of nervous. And there was something wrong, but the guy wasn't totally responsible. It was Richard Thomas.
No, I like the detective up until the very end where he becomes like a goofball.
Yeah,
I thought he was probably even better than the main guy, because this movie is all about how the stupid corporate guy, this actor, he's okay, but Safi, he is like bargain bin Michael Douglas.
He's been in a lot of things.
And
a lot of TV stuff. I've seen him in a lot.
He really wasn't that likable. Like, him and his wife, like, I didn't really care about them at all. I cared about just watching Richard Thomas.
Screw him over.
And I didn't want the girl to get killed either. Because, doesn't he kill her? Doesn't he kill one girl?
Oh, no, wait a minute.
He killed one girl, and then he didn't get to kill the other one. Or something, but, she was more likable than the main character. But he basically, and this is a spoiler review, obviously, because it's a old TV movie, and people who haven't seen it probably won't watch this review. But he finds Richard Thomas. And Richard Thomas is down, out, and dangerous. Because he is down, he is sad, he's a loser, and he's homeless, and he's dangerous because he has killed people before.
Well, we saw him kill somebody when he was begging for money. Some people would give him $1 or some change here and there, but then this one guy was telling him to go get a job, get cleaned up, and he was being a real jerk.
And Richard Thomas gave him what he deserved.
He killed him.
Yeah.
He stabbed him to death.
He did the old switchblade thing. You guys remember the other movie I reviewed this year where, isn't it, Safi, isn't it kind of funny how, like, whenever because I saw another movie this year where the killer also had this little tiny switchblade thing. Like, isn't it funny seeing these, like, killer movies where they just have this, like, little wimpy switchblade? It's like a little stick of beef jerky or something. Like, it's just so weak looking.
It was really small. I guess that can do the trick if you put it in the right place.
And he's able to, like, kill 1,000 people using this one switchblade.
Yeah, in the movie, he killed at least 3 people.
And in the other movie, the guy killed, like, 10 plus people with just this one switchblade. And it's like, can a switchblade really last that long? Like, it just seems really queer. Like, you can't give him like a Rambo knife or something, like a huge knife. You just give him this little tiny switchblade. But uh, Bargain Bin Michael Douglas hires him to help him with this brick laying work in his backyard because he built a fence, and the neighbor said that the fence was 56 inches too much into his yard. And so he has to tear it all down. And he hardly has any money because of having to spend it all on tearing it down because of this jackass neighbor.
He was a terrible neighbor. He was a great character actor.
Yeah, the evil neighbor, he was actually more evil than Richard Thomas in the way that he acted, like on the surface, but Richard Thomas was more sneaky and deceptive.
To tell you how bad the neighbor was, I'll just tell you he did this one thing. It just flabbergasted me. I'd never seen it ever on TV or anywhere, not even in reality. The guy's wife is pregnant, and I'm talking about whatever Marco's calling him.
Bargain Bin Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, she's like maybe 5 months or more pregnant, so she's showing very much. And she came out to kind of diffuse this like little angry confrontation between the two, and when they stopped talking and she was going back into the house, the neighbor tripped her, and she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And she fell to the ground. I mean, I know it's fake, but my God, I can't imagine anybody doing that to anybody in reality or on TV or anything. It was just shocked me.
It was very satisfying seeing him get killed too.
Well,
he hired Richard Thomas to help with this bricklaying work, and then he starts throwing fence posts on the neighbor's property. The neighbor comes out, and then he trips and falls and hits his head on the bricks.
And he's injured.
Bargain, I know, Safi. I was going to say that. Bargain Bin Michael Douglas goes in the house for a second, and then Richard Thomas finishes the job. And I cheered when that happened. I'm glad he did that. He deserved it. And sorry, but he deserved it. And after that, Richard Thomas is basically holding this whole incident over Bargain Bin Michael Douglas, and it's like this back and forth thing where like, oh, will you give me some money? I need some money to buy clothes.
Can you give me a job?
Ain't Bargain Bin Michael Douglas, you know, I'm having a really hard time. Can you get me a job? Oh, hey, Bargain Bin Michael Douglas, you should help me get some little snacky poos because it's really tough out here. I'm down out and dangerous, and I'm Richard Thomas. Hey, Bargain Bin Michael Douglas, do you want to go to prison and get raped? And you should help me, or else I'm going to put you in prison. And that's the whole movie. And then Richard Thomas destroys his whole life. He gets him fired. He does all this shit to him. He kills people. I mean, he sabotages his business. He is just completely evil.
Well, the thing is, we didn't know until almost the very end. We didn't know who he really was.
Yeah.
And he was actually, and I was wondering how come he was so good at doing the kind of work or executive work that this guy does, because he brought him into his workplace and got him a job in the workplace. And like they had him deliver the mail, things like that, but he was doing other things behind.
And so Richard Thomas, it turns out, he was married and had a daughter, and he killed both of them, probably with that same switchblade. I wonder if he even cleans it.
Ew.
Like, you know, he's home, he's down out and dangerous, so does he make sure that the switchblade is clean? Because couldn't they find little pieces of blood from the other victims inside? Like, so, like, he's really kind of
Gross.
gross, because he probably, like, just all this blood from his former victims, it's all over the switchblade, and he probably uses it to shave his beard and to do other weird things that homeless people can do if they're really down out and dangerous, like Richard Thomas. And so he killed his family and lost his job, and then he became that's why he became homeless. And it's too bad, because I guess there was kind of a point there to where, we don't really know why he killed his family or anything. I guess it's just because he's evil. But he really emphasizes teaching people the value of things that they own. And so it's interesting, though, because it's like, well, he had a family, and I guess he didn't value them enough to want to not kill them. So there's this kind of interesting story where I guess he wants to teach this guy that he should value things. Like, it's not really clear. And it's so basic and simplistic, the story, it's just very 1, 2, 3, 4, that you can't really get any meat or substance like that would expand on those ideas. Right, Safi? I mean, did you even think about that? The fact that, maybe he realized that he didn't value his family. So,
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well,
we had no idea about anything about him. Nothing. I know. He said his wife died.
Yeah, he said she just died. She just died one day. It was very scary because we were sitting there watching the Waltons, and she just died. she just died somehow, and then I became homeless after that.
We never heard any. It was like a way big overview. It wasn't any specific. He's not going to admit that anyway. But we didn't even know his real name.
It's like in Home Alone 2 when that woman was like, "I got my heart broken, and so then I became a homeless bird woman."
Well, the only reason why everything got fixed up, we found out his identity, all that, was because the guy who's the subject of all of this misery and his wife, he had a really good friend, and he started watching Richard Thomas, and he watched everything he did, and he broke into his place where he lived, and he saw his picture, and I guess on the picture it was labeled with his real name. And so he looked him up, and then he found out about everything, and he told the police. And
he even found out about his other movies, like the one where he was retarded.
Oh my God. So anyway, that happened like at the very end. So you just don't know how it's going to work out. I mean, this guy, he had stolen all of his money out of his bank account. He had canceled his credit card. I guess he just had one.
I mean, this was basically...
said it was stolen.
Richard Thomas basically canceled Bargain Bin Michael Douglas, like cancel culture. He canceled
him.
He canceled him.
And he was about to murder his wife.
Yeah, and probably the baby, too. Like, Sharon Tate style.
Yeah.
Like, that was Richard Thomas in this movie. He was pretty crazy. But it was a very... they touched a little tiny bit on the issue of just homelessness in general, and especially with men, because it's a very relevant issue. And they actually just did a social experiment, which was pretty embarrassing. And they had this woman pretend like she was homeless, and she got tons of money, tons of food from people. She got all this help and support, and then there was a guy who pretended to be homeless, and he didn't get a single cent, and people ignored him. And so it just shows, and so it's a very relevant type of movie to make. It's just too bad that the movie's plot was too basic, too surface level storytelling, where it's like, okay, let's make a fun thriller TV movie with Richard Thomas and Bargain Bin Michael Douglas and some other people no one cares about, and then we'll have a little movie that old people can watch on a Sunday. Like, they really didn't take it that seriously, you can tell. But
It was
still,
really good.
it was
though.
still good. Like, Richard Thomas, he was pretty creepy.
I mean,
Like,
here we go again. You compare that to the Batman that was how many hours long was
3 hours.
that? It said nothing basically, and was just fluff around a little tiny basic story was in there, kind of hidden away under their layers. And this one, I mean, it just played out, rolled out all the way almost to the very end, the whole thing. And there was no mystery. There were no fuzzy photographic edges. There was no weird music, no weird agendas. It was just a story.
Yeah, no political agendas. Imagine that, Safi, making a movie
with a story.
Without agendas.
People want stories.
Yeah.
They want to read stories. They want to hear stories. They want to watch stories.
They also want Richard Thomas.
Well, apparently he just did he just was so adept.
I know.
At playing multiple characters. And I guess today he still does that when he's asked or when he wants to.
But he's not really given anything nowadays, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, I think that they discriminate on him based on his mole. And that's another thing that people don't really bring up because, they always talk about representation. Well, why don't any of these representation weirdos ever talk about how Richard Thomas has the biggest mole in Hollywood? And so that should be, he should be like a unique actor who gets all these big roles. Like, instead of bringing back Willem Dafoe to play the Green Goblin, why don't they have a Green Goblin for Tom Holland's Iron Boy universe and have Richard Thomas play him? Why don't you give him any roles? Because, he's a better actor than any of the actors who are in any movie in anything nowadays. At all. Completely. And it's really unfortunate that he's not getting any movies. Right, Safi?
Yep.
Why don't you talk justice for Richard Thomas? Why don't you start a hashtag?
I don't know what... I don't know. I don't do that.
Start a hash mark.
No, that'll be that's
on
a
Twitter.
Millennial thing.
Justice for Richard Thomas.
Nobody will know what we're talking about
Yeah,
unless
they will.
Listen to our review.
Because I will review every Richard Thomas movie on this channel for fun. It's too bad you haven't seen really another great one, though. He did one. Another
I like
one.
The stalking one. The stalking and this one. And
Well, he did another one based on a true story, and it was very, very good. Because you couldn't tell if he was guilty or innocent the whole movie. And he played it so perfectly that he never gave you any hint that he was one way or the other. And so
till almost the very end, like this one.
No, not even at the end. It was an A+ performance. It was probably the greatest performance of all time.
Yeah.
But this movie, it was pretty good. And honestly, I would recommend this movie if you're bored, if you really want a good thriller. A good, simple thriller with Richard Thomas. Watch this movie. And if you just want a thriller, well, watch this movie anyway, because it has Richard Thomas in it. And you should want to watch a movie with Richard Thomas in it. So, watch it. Right, Safi?
Yep.
What would you rate this masterpiece
Oh, boy.
in terms of food?
Well, I think I'd give it a hot fudge sundae, which I can't eat anymore, with lots of nice, thick, juicy hot fudge, whipped cream, nuts, and a cherry on top.
No, there's just one nut, and it represents his mole.
Well, I said one nut. Well, okay, one cherry.
One cherry.
Well, I don't know, one nut.
It's a cherry mole.
Yeah. That would represent, because you can't just put one nut on a sundae.
It's weird because I've watched all these Richard Thomas movies and I don't even really notice his mole at all.
No, I don't either.
Like, even though people talk about that, I don't know, because I just, whenever I think about this movie, I'm always going to think about that horrible caramel sundae. But I have to do something else that, you know what, this is like, remember last year, Safi, when we went to Panera Bread for the first time and I got the macaroni and cheese with broccoli? I thought that was going to be really good. I got a large, and I thought it was going to be a great dinner, and I was really excited about it. I used to love Panera Bread mac and cheese, and then I got it, and it was still okay. Like, I would eat it again, but it was overly expensive. They didn't give me the apple that was supposed to come as a side. They didn't give me any side. And it was literally like, they call that a large? Like, what are they, run by a bunch of effing anorexic people? Because it's like this tiny little container. Like, Safi, would you call that effing macaroni and cheese with broccoli a large?
No. I was a little taken aback too. And I think when we went, I don't know, they had some people there who weren't very good employees. I think they've gotten better.
Yeah, they suck. They sucked.
I've been getting some good food from there, so.
And that's what this movie was like. It was small scale, it was simple, but it was pretty good, and I would eat it again. I mean, I would eat the macaroni and cheese with broccoli again. It's just, it's too expensive.
For what you get,
and
it's too expensive.
This movie isn't expensive, that's for sure. You can watch it on YouTube for free right now. So go watch it. Safi?
Okay, well, if you like this video, please give it a like button and hit the like button and subscribe if you're not a subscriber already, because we love new subscribers and we like having a discussion about different movies and about
Speaking of different movies, after I review every single Richard Thomas movie, as much as I can, because there are a few that I literally can't find. Like, they're so rare that I can't find them. After I review all of them, I will be ranking every Richard Thomas movie.
Of course.
And I hope people will do that too, because it's very important to rank things. I really want to emphasize the importance of ranking things.
So says a millennial.
I mean, Safi, how would you rank
No.
Richard Thomas's makeovers in this movie? Because he has like 5 makeovers.
Yes, when he goes to work in that really nice office, he shaves, cuts his hair. He actually looks like himself. Got rid of all the beard, all the long hair wig and all that stuff. But he looked perfect. And he was dressed nice. I mean, he looked really good.
He looked normal, which was very creepy because he was not normal.
Not at all. He was such a bad boy.
That was how good his performance was that you could see through his normal appearance that he was evil. 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 Evil!
Okay.
This is his most evil character, Safi.
Okay.
No contest.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.